A quiet problem affects millions of people every single day, yet most of them never realize what is truly happening inside their own feet. It begins slowly. The arch of the foot lowers. The foot starts rolling inward when walking. Shoes begin to wear out unevenly. Long days of standing feel heavier than before. Then the discomfort spreads. First, the foot hurts. Later, the ankles feel unstable. After that, the knees begin to complain. Eventually, even the lower back can feel the strain. Many people simply accept this as normal. They assume their feet were born this way, and that nothing can really change it. The common belief is simple and very powerful. Once the arch of the foot collapses, it stays that way forever. That belief leads people toward expensive solutions. They start buying costly orthopedic shoes. They invest in arch supports. They try different insoles, hoping one of them will magically fix the problem. Some even reach the point where surgery is mentioned as the only serious option left. Yet hidden behind all of these expensive fixes is a quiet biological truth that most people never hear about. Inside every human foot, there are dozens of small muscles working together to support the arch. These muscles act like a natural suspension system. They stabilize the foot with every step. They absorb shock when the body hits the ground. They help the body maintain balance during movement. But like any other muscle in the body, they can become weak. And when they do, the structure they support begins to change. The arch slowly drops. The foot spreads out. The body adapts in ways that create stress across the entire lower body. What many people call flat feet is often not just a bone structure problem. In many cases, it is a strength problem, a muscle problem, a control problem. This changes everything about how the condition should be treated. Here is where the story becomes more interesting. Medical researchers and physical therapists have spent years studying the mechanics of the foot. They have examined athletes, runners, and patients dealing with foot pain. What they discovered surprised many people in the medical world. Strengthening specific muscles in the foot can gradually improve arch stability in many individuals. The foot is not always a fixed structure. It can adapt, it can become stronger, it can regain support from the inside. This means the solution for many people may not start with expensive gear or complicated procedures. It may start with something much simpler. One small exercise has quietly gained attention among physical therapists and sports specialists around the world. It does not require machines. It does not require a gym membership. It does not require special equipment. The movement itself looks almost too simple to matter. In fact, many people dismiss it the first time they see it because the motion appears so small. Yet inside the foot, powerful changes begin to happen when this exercise is done correctly and consistently. Small stabilizing muscles wake up. The arch begins to engage again. The foot starts learning how to support itself instead of collapsing under body weight. This single exercise has become a foundation tool in foot rehabilitation programs. Professional athletes use it to prevent injury. Runners use it to improve foot stability. Physical therapists use it to retrain the muscles that support the arch. And for many people struggling with flat feet, it becomes the first real step toward rebuilding strength, where it matters most. But understanding why this exercise works requires a deeper look at the hidden mechanics of the foot. Most people never think about how complex the human foot really is. Each foot contains 26 bones, more than 30 joints, and over 100 muscles, tendons, and ligaments. Every step the body takes requires these structures to work together with precise coordination. When one part becomes weak or inactive, the entire system begins to compensate. The arch of the foot plays a central role in this system. It acts like a spring. It stores energy when the foot touches the ground and releases that energy when the body pushes forward. This spring-like function is one of the reasons humans can walk and run efficiently. When the arch weakens, that natural spring system begins to fail. The foot collapses inward. Biomechanics change. The knees rotate differently. The hips adjust their position. Over time, the body begins to move in ways that create strain and imbalance. This is why flat feet are often connected to other issues such as shin splints, knee discomfort, plantar fascia irritation, and even lower back tension. The foot is the foundation of the body. When the foundation becomes unstable, the entire structure above it must adapt. The surprising part is that many people focus only on external support instead of internal strength. Arch supports and specialized shoes can reduce symptoms by holding the foot in place. They provide external stability, but they do not always retrain the muscles responsible for maintaining the arch naturally. Without muscle activation, the foot may continue to rely on support rather than developing its own strength. This is similar to placing a brace on a weak joint without ever training the muscles that stabilize it. The support may help temporarily, but the underlying weakness remains. This is where the simple exercise mentioned earlier becomes extremely important. Instead of forcing the arch upward with external devices, it teaches the foot to lift and stabilize the arch using its own muscles. This approach targets the deep intrinsic muscles of the foot, along with one particularly important muscle that runs along the inside of the lower leg and connects to the arch. When these muscles begin to work together again, they create natural tension that supports the arch during standing and movement. Many people are surprised to learn that their feet have simply forgotten how to activate these muscles properly. Modern lifestyles contribute to this problem. Soft shoes, cushioned surfaces, and limited barefoot movement reduce the need for the foot to stabilize itself. Over time, the muscles that once controlled the arch become underused. The body adapts to this reduced demand. Strength fades, control fades, the arch slowly loses its support system. The exercise you will learn in this video directly addresses this issue. It reactivates the natural support network inside the foot. The movement itself is small, controlled, and precise, but its effect can be powerful when practiced consistently. Over time, it trains the foot to shorten slightly, lifting the arch into a stable dome shape. This small shift activates multiple muscles simultaneously. It improves coordination between the foot and the lower leg. It helps the body relearn how to distribute pressure properly during standing and walking. Another fascinating aspect of this exercise is how it improves balance. The foot contains thousands of sensory receptors that send information to the brain about pressure and position. When the arch becomes more stable, these signals become clearer. Balance improves. Movement becomes more controlled. Athletes often train these same muscles because they understand how important foot stability is for performance and injury prevention. The best part is that almost anyone can begin practicing this exercise. It can be done at home. It can be done while standing or sitting. It takes only a few minutes each day. The key factor is consistency. Like any muscle training, results appear gradually. The small muscles of the foot respond best to regular activation rather than occasional intense effort. Over weeks and months, these small daily movements can create meaningful changes in how the foot behaves under body weight. In this video, the entire process will be explained step by step. The hidden reason flat feet develop will become clear. The critical muscle responsible for arch stability will be revealed. The simple exercise used by physical therapists will be demonstrated in a way that is easy to understand and follow. You will also learn how often to practice it, how long it takes to see improvement, and why patience is important during the process. By the end of this video, you will understand that flat feet are not always a fixed condition written permanently into your bones. In many cases, they are a signal that the muscles responsible for supporting the arch have become weak or inactive. Even more interesting is what happens when those muscles begin to wake up again. Many people notice better foot awareness within the first couple of weeks. Balance improves. Standing feels more stable. Over time, some individuals even observe subtle changes in the shape and function of their arch. These changes do not happen overnight, but they demonstrate something important about the human body. It is highly adaptable. When given the right stimulus, it can rebuild strength and function in places most people never think to train. There is also a deeper reason to watch this video all the way to the end. Many demonstrations of this exercise online are done incorrectly. Small mistakes in foot positioning can prevent the muscles from activating properly. When that happens, people practice the movement for weeks without seeing results. Later in this video, the correct technique will be explained carefully so the exercise actually targets the muscles responsible for arch stability. Understanding that detail makes a huge difference in effectiveness. You will also learn why this exercise works best when paired with simple daily habits that support foot strength. These habits are easy to follow but often overlooked. When combined with the exercise, they help accelerate the process of rebuilding foot stability and reducing the stress placed on the lower body. So, if flat feet have ever caused discomfort, affected your posture, or made long days of standing feel exhausting, this video may change the way you look at the problem. Instead of relying only on external support, you will learn how to begin strengthening the foundation of your body from the inside out. The solution starts with one small movement that activates muscles most people never realize they have. Stay with this video until the end, because the exercise itself is simple, but the way it is performed makes all the difference. Once you understand how the foot truly supports the body, the approach to fixing flat feet becomes much clearer. Welcome to the channel, where complex health and science topics are explained in a simple and practical way. If you enjoy learning how the body works and discovering small changes that can make a big difference in everyday health, consider subscribing to the channel and joining a growing community of viewers who are learning how to take better care of their bodies through clear science and practical knowledge. Beneath the surface of what many people casually call flat feet lies a quiet mechanical shift that changes how the entire lower body moves. The arch of the foot is not just a curve in the middle of the foot. It is a structural system that distributes weight, absorbs shock, and helps the body move efficiently with every step. When this arch begins to collapse, the foot changes the way it touches the ground. Instead of forming a strong curved support, the foot spreads out and flattens. The inner side of the foot sinks closer to the floor. As this happens, the ankle begins to tilt inward. This inward rolling movement is known as pronation. A small amount of pronation is normal and necessary for healthy walking, but when the arch loses its strength, the pronation becomes excessive. The foot rolls inward more than it should. This shift might seem small at first, but the body is a chain of connected structures. When the base of that chain becomes unstable, the effects travel upward. Every step now places pressure in places that were not designed to handle that much force. The muscles and tendons of the foot must work harder to keep the body balanced. Over time, this strain begins to show up as discomfort. The bottom of the foot may start to feel tired after long periods of standing. Some people notice aching around the inner ankle. Others feel soreness across the arch itself. These early signs are often ignored because they appear gradually and seem harmless at first. But the body continues to adapt to the altered mechanics. As the foot rolls inward repeatedly during walking and standing, the alignment of the ankle joint begins to change. The shin bone above the ankle rotates slightly inward. This rotation affects the knee joint. The knee begins to track differently with each step. The cartilage and ligaments inside the knee experience forces that they were not meant to handle over long periods of time. Many people who struggle with knee discomfort never realize that the problem may begin much lower in the body. The foundation has shifted, and the structures above it are forced to compensate. Further up the chain, the hips must adjust their position to maintain balance. The muscles around the hips tighten in an effort to stabilize the body. This adjustment can create subtle tension in the lower back. Over months or years, the body develops movement patterns that reflect this compensation. What began as a small change in the arch of the foot slowly becomes a larger biomechanical pattern affecting the ankles, knees, hips, and back. Shin splints are another common issue linked to this chain reaction. When the foot rolls inward excessively, the muscles along the shin must work harder to control the movement of the foot. These muscles attach to the shin bone and help stabilize the lower leg during walking and running. Repeated strain on these muscles can create irritation and inflammation along the shin. This discomfort is often experienced by runners or individuals who spend long hours walking on hard surfaces. The surprising part of this situation is that many people assume the bones of the foot are the main cause of the problem. It is easy to believe this because the arch appears to be a structural feature of the skeleton. When the arch lowers, it looks as though the bones themselves have changed shape permanently. This belief leads people to think that flat feet are simply the result of genetics or bone structure that cannot be altered. While bone structure does play a role in some cases, it is not always the full story. The foot contains a complex network of muscles and tendons that support the arch. These muscles act like tension cables beneath the bones. When they are strong and active, they help maintain the curved shape of the arch. They pull the bones into a stable position and resist the forces that push the foot downward during walking. When these muscles weaken, the tension that supports the arch decreases. The bones begin to spread out under body weight. The arch lowers not because the bones suddenly lost their shape, but because the muscular support system is no longer strong enough to maintain that shape. Among these muscles, one plays a particularly important role. It runs along the inside of the lower leg and connects to the arch of the foot. This muscle is known as the posterior tibialis. It functions like a dynamic support cable that helps lift and stabilize the arch whenever the foot touches the ground. With each step, it contracts to prevent the foot from collapsing inward. It also assists in controlling the movement of the ankle and maintaining alignment between the foot and the leg. When the posterior tibialis muscle becomes weak or fatigued, the arch loses one of its most important stabilizers. Without that support, the foot begins to drift inward during walking. At first, the body compensates by using other muscles to maintain balance, but those muscles are not designed to carry the same load. Over time, the imbalance becomes more noticeable. The arch lowers further. The inward rolling of the foot becomes more pronounced. The entire foot structure begins to rely on passive support rather than active muscular control. Modern lifestyle habits contribute significantly to this process. Many people spend most of their day wearing shoes that cushion the foot heavily. While cushioning can provide comfort, it also reduces the demand placed on the small stabilizing muscles of the foot. Surfaces indoors are often flat and predictable, which means the foot does not need to adjust or adapt to uneven terrain. Over months and years, the muscles responsible for controlling the arch receive less stimulation. Like any muscle that is rarely used, they begin to weaken. Another factor is limited foot mobility. When people walk barefoot on varied surfaces such as grass, sand, or natural ground, the foot must constantly adapt to maintain balance. This adaptation activates many small muscles that support the arch. Modern environments rarely provide these conditions. Floors are smooth and stable. Shoes restrict natural movement of the toes and arch. The foot gradually becomes less active in its role as a stabilizing structure. Because these changes occur slowly, most people do not notice the loss of strength until symptoms appear. By the time discomfort develops, the arch may already be functioning differently than it once did. At this stage, many individuals begin searching for solutions. They look for ways to reduce the pain and restore comfort during walking or standing. One of the first solutions many people encounter is orthotics. These are inserts placed inside shoes to support the arch from below. Orthotics can be custom-made or purchased over the counter. They are designed to lift the arch and reduce the inward rolling of the foot. For some individuals, they provide immediate relief because they redistribute pressure across the foot. The support reduces strain on the muscles and tendons that have been overworked. Supportive shoes are another common approach. These shoes are built with reinforced arch structures and firm midsoles that prevent the foot from collapsing inward. They help maintain alignment between the foot and the ankle during walking. For people experiencing discomfort, these shoes can feel noticeably more stable than regular footwear. Some individuals choose a different approach and simply ignore the problem. They assume that mild foot pain is a normal part of daily life. They continue their routines without making changes, hoping the discomfort will eventually fade on its own. Sometimes the body does adapt temporarily, but the underlying mechanics remain unchanged. While orthotics and supportive shoes can reduce symptoms, they do not always address the deeper issue. They act as external supports that hold the foot in a certain position. The arch is lifted by the insert or shoe rather than by the muscles of the foot itself. This can create a situation where the foot becomes dependent on the external support. The muscles responsible for maintaining the arch naturally may remain inactive. The situation is similar to wearing a brace for a weak joint without strengthening the muscles that stabilize that joint. The brace can provide protection and reduce discomfort, but the underlying weakness remains. If the brace is removed, the joint may still lack the strength needed to function properly. For the foot, the true long-term solution often requires rebuilding strength within the muscles that support the arch. These muscles are sometimes called the intrinsic foot muscles. They are small muscles located entirely within the foot itself. They control fine movements of the toes and help maintain the shape of the arch. When these muscles work together with larger muscles like the posterior tibialis, they create a dynamic support system that stabilizes the foot during movement. Activating these muscles is not always easy because they are rarely trained in everyday life. Most people exercise larger muscle groups such as the legs, arms, and core, but the feet are often ignored. Yet the feet form the base of the body's entire structure. Strength at this base influences how the rest of the body moves. This is where a particular exercise begins to stand out among physical therapists and movement specialists. It is known as the short foot exercise. The name comes from the subtle action of shortening the length of the foot without curling the toes. The movement is small, but it activates several key muscles that help lift and stabilize the arch. During this exercise, the goal is to gently draw the ball of the foot toward the heel while keeping the toes relaxed and flat. This creates a slight dome shape in the arch. The foot appears to shorten slightly as the arch rises. The movement is controlled and deliberate. It does not involve gripping the floor with the toes or scrunching them downward. Instead, it focuses on engaging the deep muscles that lie beneath the arch. When performed correctly, the short foot exercise activates the intrinsic muscles of the foot along with the posterior tibialis muscle. These muscles work together to support the arch from within. Over time, this repeated activation strengthens their ability to maintain the arch during standing and walking. At first, the movement may feel unfamiliar. Many people struggle to isolate the correct muscles because they have not used them intentionally before. The toes may try to curl, or the foot may tense in other areas. With practice, the body begins to recognize the correct pattern of activation. The arch lifts slightly while the toes remain relaxed. The foot develops a new sense of control. As the muscles become stronger, they begin to respond automatically during everyday activities. The arch becomes more stable when standing. Walking mechanics improve because the foot no longer collapses inward as easily. Balance also improves because the foot provides a more stable base for the body. One reason this exercise is so effective is that it targets the muscles that directly control the structure of the arch. Instead of forcing the foot into position from the outside, it teaches the foot to create its own support. This internal strength can complement external supports, such as shoes or orthotics when needed, but it does not rely entirely on them. Another important aspect of the short foot exercise is its simplicity. It does not require equipment or large amounts of time. The movement can be practiced while sitting, standing, or even during daily activities once the technique is learned. Because the muscles involved are relatively small, they respond well to frequent gentle activation rather than heavy resistance. Consistency becomes the key factor in seeing results. Practicing the exercise regularly encourages the nervous system to improve its control over the foot muscles. Neural connections strengthen. Muscle fibers adapt to the repeated demand. Gradually, the arch becomes more responsive and capable of maintaining its shape under body weight. The changes that occur are often subtle at first. The foot may feel more aware of the ground during standing. Balance may feel steadier when shifting weight from one leg to the other. As weeks pass, the muscles that support the arch gain endurance. They begin to assist the body during longer periods of walking or standing without fatiguing as quickly. This gradual strengthening process reflects how the body adapts to training in any muscle group. Just as lifting weights strengthens the arms or legs over time, targeted activation strengthens the muscles of the foot. The difference is that the movements involved in foot training are much smaller and require more precise control. As the intrinsic foot muscles and the posterior tibialis muscle regain strength, they begin to share the load of supporting the arch during movement. The foot no longer relies solely on passive structures like ligaments or external supports. Instead, it functions as an active structure capable of adjusting and stabilizing itself with each step. The short foot exercise, therefore, becomes more than just a simple movement. It acts as a way of reintroducing the foot to its natural role in supporting the body. It reminds the muscles how to engage, it rebuilds coordination between the foot and the lower leg, and it gradually restores the tension system that holds the arch in its functional shape during daily life. A very small movement inside the foot can create a surprisingly large change in how the entire foot functions. The movement begins with a simple idea. Instead of curling the toes downward or gripping the ground, the goal is to shorten the foot slightly. The toes remain relaxed and flat against the floor. The heel stays in place. The ball of the foot gently moves toward the heel without lifting the toes. As this happens, the middle of the foot rises slightly, forming a small dome shape in the arch. From the outside, this change appears almost invisible. To someone watching from a distance, the foot may look nearly the same. But inside the foot, a network of muscles suddenly becomes active. This small action sends a signal to the deep muscles that support the arch. These muscles sit beneath the bones of the foot and connect different parts of the arch structure together. They are designed to create tension that holds the arch in place during movement. When the foot shortens slightly and the arch lifts, these muscles contract together in a coordinated way. They begin pulling the bones into a more stable arrangement. The toes stay relaxed because they are not responsible for creating the arch. Their role is different. The focus remains on the muscles inside the foot that form the natural support system beneath the arch. Many people first attempt this movement by curling their toes or pressing them strongly into the ground. That is a common mistake. Toe curling activates different muscles that do not directly support the arch. The short foot movement works best when the toes remain long and relaxed. The effort comes from the middle of the foot. The ball of the foot moves slightly toward the heel as if the foot is gently shortening its length. When this happens correctly, the arch begins to lift naturally. The foot forms a subtle dome shape that reflects the tension created by the intrinsic muscles. Inside the foot, there are several layers of muscles. Some control the toes, some support the arch, and others help stabilize the joints between the many small bones. During the short foot exercise, these muscles work together like a coordinated team. The contraction spreads across the bottom of the foot. The tension travels through tendons that connect to larger muscles in the lower leg. One of these muscles, the posterior tibialis, plays an important role in reinforcing the arch. As the foot shortens and the arch lifts, this muscle becomes active as well, supporting the movement from above. The movement itself may appear tiny, but the effect is complex. The nervous system begins to reconnect with muscles that have been underused for years. Signals travel from the brain to the foot with greater precision. The muscles respond by contracting in a controlled pattern. With repeated practice, the body becomes better at activating these muscles without effort. What begins as a conscious exercise slowly turns into an automatic function of the foot during standing and walking. Balance begins to change as well. The arch of the foot acts like a stabilizing bridge between the heel and the front of the foot. When the arch is weak, the foot spreads out and loses some of its ability to control pressure against the ground. The body must compensate by shifting weight in different directions. This can create small wobbles when standing on one leg or moving across uneven surfaces. As the muscles supporting the arch grow stronger, the foot becomes more stable. The pressure beneath the foot distributes more evenly. The body feels more grounded. Another effect appears in the way the foot rolls during movement. Overpronation occurs when the foot rolls inward too much after contacting the ground. This inward roll often happens because the arch cannot hold its shape under body weight. The short foot exercise strengthens the muscles that resist this collapse. As these muscles gain strength, the foot begins to control the inward roll more effectively. The arch remains active instead of flattening completely. The ankle stays in a more neutral position. This improved alignment reduces stress on the joints above the foot. What makes this exercise powerful is not its size or complexity. It is powerful because it trains something that most people rarely think about. It trains foot control. The foot is often treated as a passive structure that simply supports the body. In reality, the foot is highly dynamic. It contains dozens of muscles that adjust tension with every step. These muscles respond to changes in terrain, body weight, and direction of movement. When they function properly, they allow the body to move with efficiency and stability. When these muscles become weak, the arch loses its support. The foot becomes less responsive to the ground beneath it. Movements that once felt stable may start to feel slightly awkward or tiring. The body must rely more heavily on larger muscles in the legs to maintain balance. Over time, this creates unnecessary strain across the lower body. Training foot control reverses this process. By strengthening the intrinsic muscles and reconnecting them with the nervous system, the foot regains its ability to adjust and stabilize itself. The short foot exercise provides a direct way to activate these muscles. Each repetition reminds the foot how to create tension beneath the arch. With enough practice, this tension becomes part of the foot's normal function again. Athletes and runners often understand this concept well. Their performance depends heavily on the ability of the foot to absorb impact and stabilize the body during rapid movement. Weak arches can reduce efficiency and increase the risk of injury. Because of this, many training programs include exercises designed to strengthen the muscles of the foot. The short foot exercise is frequently used as a foundation movement. It prepares the foot for more demanding activities by rebuilding control and strength at the base of the body. Physical therapists also rely on this exercise when working with individuals who experience foot instability or arch collapse. They recognize that the foot cannot rely only on passive support structures like ligaments and shoes. Active muscular support is necessary for long-term stability. By teaching patients how to activate the intrinsic muscles of the foot, therapists help restore the natural mechanics of the arch. The effectiveness of the short foot exercise comes from the way it rebuilds this internal support system. Instead of forcing the arch upward from the outside, it encourages the muscles to lift the arch from within. This internal lifting mechanism is more adaptable than external support. The muscles can respond to different forces and adjust tension in real time during movement. When a person first begins practicing this exercise, the sensation inside the foot may feel unusual. Many people realize that they have never intentionally activated these muscles before. The brain must learn how to send signals to them. At the beginning, the movement may feel awkward or difficult to control. The toes might try to curl. The ankle might tense slightly. With patience, the correct pattern becomes clearer. The toes relax. The arch lifts gently. The foot shortens just enough to form the dome shape without strain. This learning process is part of neuromuscular training. The brain and muscles communicate more effectively with repetition. Each time the exercise is performed correctly, the nervous system strengthens the pathway responsible for activating the arch muscles. Gradually, the body becomes more efficient at performing the movement. What once required concentration begins to happen more naturally. Over time, this improved control begins to influence everyday activities. Standing becomes more stable because the foot actively supports the body instead of collapsing under weight. Walking becomes smoother because the arch maintains its shape during the transition from heel strike to push off. Even simple tasks like climbing stairs or balancing on one leg may feel easier because the foot provides a stronger base. Consistency plays a critical role in this process. The muscles involved are relatively small compared to larger muscles in the legs. Small muscles respond well to frequent activation rather than intense effort. Practicing the short foot exercise daily provides a steady stimulus that encourages adaptation. Just a few minutes each day can gradually strengthen the arch support system. During the first 1 or 2 weeks of practice, many people begin to notice subtle changes in how their feet feel. Awareness increases, the foot becomes more sensitive to its position against the ground. This awareness is sometimes described as improved proprioception. Proprioception refers to the body's ability to sense its own position and movement. The foot contains many sensory receptors that provide information about pressure and balance. Activating the arch muscles stimulates these receptors and improves the communication between the foot and the brain. As this awareness develops, people often become more conscious of how they distribute their weight while standing or walking. They may notice when the foot begins to collapse inward and instinctively correct it by engaging the arch muscles. This ability to recognize and adjust foot position is an important part of improving overall stability. Between the 3rd and 6th weeks of consistent training, physical improvements often become more noticeable. Balance tends to improve because the arch is able to maintain its shape under body weight. Standing on one leg may feel steadier than before. Walking long distances may produce less fatigue in the feet and lower legs. The muscles responsible for supporting the arch begin to develop endurance. Endurance is important because the foot must support the body for long periods during daily activities. Strength alone is not enough. The muscles must also sustain their contraction over time without becoming exhausted. Repeated practice of the short foot exercise gradually builds this endurance. After several months of regular training, the arch may begin to show more stable behavior during movement. The foot no longer collapses inward as easily when weight is applied. The alignment between the foot and the ankle improves. Pressure beneath the foot becomes more evenly distributed. These changes reflect the combined effect of stronger intrinsic muscles and improved coordination between the foot and the lower leg. The process of strengthening the arch resembles the way other muscles adapt to training. At first, the body learns the movement pattern, then the muscles grow stronger and more efficient. Eventually, the new strength becomes part of normal daily function. The difference with foot training is that the changes are often subtle and gradual. Because the movements are small, progress may not always be immediately visible. Patience is therefore an important part of the process. The body requires time to adapt to repeated activation of the arch muscles. Just as it takes time to strengthen the muscles of the arms or legs, it takes time for the muscles of the foot to regain their strength and coordination. Daily practice creates the environment needed for these adaptations to occur. Even a short session performed regularly can stimulate the muscles enough to encourage improvement. Over time, the arch becomes more responsive. The foot develops a stronger connection with the ground beneath it. This connection plays a major role in overall movement quality. The foot is the first part of the body to interact with the ground during walking and running. Information about pressure, balance, and direction travels from the foot to the brain. The brain then sends signals to adjust posture and movement. When the foot functions properly, this communication happens smoothly. Strengthening the arch through exercises like the short foot movement enhances this communication. The muscles respond quickly to changes in pressure. The body adjusts its alignment with greater precision. Movements become more efficient because the base of support is stable. Over time, the short foot exercise becomes more than just a rehabilitation tool. It becomes a way to maintain the health and function of the foot. Regular activation of the intrinsic muscles keeps the arch engaged and responsive. The foot retains its ability to adapt to different surfaces and activities. Through consistent practice, the muscles that once allowed the arch to collapse begin to support it again. The foot gradually returns to a more active role in stabilizing the body. Balance improves, movement becomes more efficient, and the foundation of the body grows stronger with each repetition of this small but powerful movement. For many years, flat feet have been treated like a condition that cannot be changed. People are often told that once the arch collapses, the situation is permanent. The usual advice focuses on support from the outside: special shoes, thick insoles, expensive orthotics. These tools can help reduce discomfort, but they do not always address the real reason the arch lost its strength in the first place. In many cases, the story is much simpler than people think. The foot did not suddenly lose its structure. The muscles that hold that structure simply became weak over time. The human foot is designed to be active. It contains a complex system of small muscles working together to support the arch and stabilize the body during movement. When those muscles stop working efficiently, the arch begins to fall. But when they become stronger again, the foot can begin to support itself the way it was meant to. The arch does not rely only on bones and ligaments. It relies on muscle strength and control. This is why rebuilding that strength can slowly change how the foot behaves during standing, walking, and daily life. The most surprising part is how small the solution can be. A movement that takes only seconds to perform can start activating muscles that many people have not used properly for years. It does not require machines. It does not require a gym. It does not require complicated routines. Just a small controlled movement that teaches the foot how to lift and stabilize its own arch again. When that movement is practiced regularly, day after day, the muscles begin to wake up. They learn how to support the arch again. The foot gradually becomes stronger from the inside. Progress does not happen overnight. The foot needs time to adapt, just like any other part of the body. But consistency creates change. Week by week, the muscles respond to the training. The arch becomes more stable. Balance improves. Movement becomes more efficient. What once felt weak and unstable can slowly become strong and supportive again. This simple idea changes the way many people look at flat feet. Instead of seeing the condition as a permanent problem, it becomes something that can often be improved by restoring strength where it matters most. The foundation of the body becomes active again. The foot returns to doing the job it was designed to do. Sometimes the most powerful solution is not the most complicated one. It is not the most expensive one either. Sometimes the real solution is simply teaching the body to use its natural support system again. One small exercise practiced consistently can begin that process. If you found this video helpful and learned something new about how your body works, make sure to like the video so more people can discover this information. Share it with someone who struggles with flat feet or foot pain because this simple exercise could make a real difference for them too. And if you enjoy clear explanations about health, the body, and simple ways to improve everyday movement, subscribe to the channel and join us for more videos like this.